Welcome to Berlin. We are here at the Reuse and Logistics Leadership Days. And there's a lot of interesting panelists walking around here in Berlin. So I've decided to have a quick fireside chat with one of them. And this is Britta Wyss Bisang from IPL Schoeller, VP Sustainability and Public Affairs.
Yeah.
So, Britta, I would like to ask you a couple of quick questions about the event here. You were on a very interesting panel earlier today about, well, in German, politische Rahmenbedingungen. You have to help me how to translate that to English.
Yeah.
But could you maybe tell a little bit about the panel and what was one of your key messages that you wanted to bring for the audience?
Thank you, Bart, and thank you for having me. Now, so the panel really was about what are the political frameworks, but also specifically the PPWR, Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation, and the German packaging law, so the Verpackungsrechtsdurchführungsgesetz, that how can they help to reach that tipping point where reuse and reusable packaging really works at scale. Because we do see it is working in practice, but it is still a minority of all the packaging that is reusable. So we have a big potential here. And how can politics, capitalize on that potential?
Okay.
So that was it about. And I was the representative for transport packaging. IPL Schoeller is a producer of returnable transport packaging. So we're also supplying to the Runden Group. You're a partner of ours. And the transport packaging is often overlooked. It's a little bit like a hidden packaging, right? Because the consumer doesn't really see it, even though it's at least 30% of all the packaging waste that is produced by transport packaging. So for me, it was important to bring in that perspective also to the politics and the NGOs on the panel.
Okay, thank you for that. Because indeed, we sometimes jokingly refer to ourselves as the invisible packaging.
Yeah.
So today is a good opportunity to change that.
Yeah.
And maybe that links to my second question. Why do you feel an event like this here in Berlin is important?
Yeah, I do think that in general, there is a lot of goodwill. And also Gunda Rahut, who was just speaking a little bit before, she said there is no viable alternative to optimism, right? So there is a lot of goodwill, but events like this have to provide the facts to the broader public, and they have to keep up the pressure on supply chains and on politics. Because, there are so many things on the agenda, and even though packaging and packaging waste is one of the big contributors of environmental destruction, climate change, we have to really keep up the pressure to create that moment where we reach a tipping point for reuse. So I think events like this really help. And it's a great networking opportunity as well, right?
Exactly. We were just waiting to get into the beers after this, I think.
Exactly.
And then a final question, and probably related to what you discussed in your panel, is what do you think that reuse needs to become even more successful?
Yeah. So we had a lot of discussion on how can we promote reuse and reusable packaging. And one of the key aspects that came across is that whether it is a business to consumer or a business to business packaging, costs are important. And single-use packaging creates substantial costs that are externalized. So we have to find a way to internalize those costs, help create a level playing field for reusable packaging. And that's one side of the coin. But the other side of the coin is also with the PPWR, being implemented in just 2 months from now, there is a feeling of threat because of the administrative burden for the users of packaging. And that can be a really substantial hurdle. And we have to ensure that we lower the administrative burden for the reusable packaging. And one example here is, I think everyone in the reusable packaging space is really aware that we have to avoid fake reuse. A box that is used a second time for something else, that is not reuse. But we have to avoid the fake reuse, but reusable packaging also shouldn't get into a moment where they have to kind of track every single rotation just in order to prove that it's reusable, something actually that the industry using it already knows because they know how many rotations they're doing. So we have to really ensure that we keep the administrative burden manageable so that companies who are considering to embrace reusable packaging and to make that transition that we really want to see happen, that they're not frightened, but they feel supported in their decision.
Exactly. It's a fine balancing exercise, but I think maybe that's what we're good at as well as companies.
Balancing.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you very much. Just as a concluding quick question, if you'd have to describe the event or the vibe here today in one word or in one short sentence, how would you do that?
Knowledge dense, buzzing, and networking.
Okay, love it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Britta.
Thank you so much, Ward,
All right.
for having me.